You are now tuned into Moses Squared podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure you follow both me and Desmond on social media platforms, as well as subscribing to Moses Squared podcast on YouTube and following Moses Squared pod on Instagram. Enjoy the episode. What's going on, y'all? It is a Moses Squared podcast. We're back, another episode. It's your girl, Lauren Moses, former UVA women's basketball player, here with my big bro.
It's your boy, Desmond Moses. Appreciate y'all guys tuning in. Former Kansas City Chief, Green Bay Packer, KCDV5, sports analyst, specialist. Give me some more titles, Lola. We got real estate investor, dad, girl dad.
A lot of titles.
Brother to my beautiful sister.
Yeah.
This is one of my two sisters, Lauren, and then obviously Shayna. But Lo, tell them what we got to look forward to today. What we talking about?
We're talking NBA draft. I mean, we always gotta highlight these young people whose lives change in
young guns.
We always talk about NFL draft, NBA draft when it comes around, and so yeah, we gotta talk about the draft. But make sure if you guys have been tuning into these episodes that you like this video, subscribe, leave comments, let us know what you want more of, less of, all of the things. And yeah, let's get into it, Des, because this draft was a little different.
I liked it though. I'm excited.
It was exciting, right? Like, I think the storylines are great. I'm a journalist, so like I'm a storylines girly. And I think the biggest difference was that a lot of the names that were on these mock draft boards, no one had heard of them.
Right.
And so that's why I was kind of like, oh, this class is weak, da-da-da-da. But
why is that, Lo? Explain a little bit for our viewers why, because everything is changing. We got the transition from high school to college to professional.
Yeah.
Do you have to go to college? How many years removed from high school do you need to be? This is it actually become very technical.
Yeah, no,
it's clearly big business.
The whole landscape is changing, right? Like, we had players come out of high school last year and go start playing professionally, not in the NBA, but in the G leagues. We also have teams like Overtime Elite or businesses, I should say, like Overtime Elite, that is becoming homes to these athletes who have goals of playing in the NBA and not necessarily having to go to college. And so it just seems like whatever route you want to take, there's usually an option for it. And so I don't know all the technicalities of how many years removed from high school, but I know that you don't have to go to college to be able to play in the NBA at this point.
And I believe it's 1 year removed. So that's why you see a lot of these guys. Some guys are going one and done to college. Some guys are going to these, programs, businesses like you're talking about. Some guys have chosen to take the G League route. We're going to talk about the first 5 picks today.
Yeah.
And the route that some of these guys have taken. Let's start with number 1. I mean, it only makes sense, Lo. This is one of the highest talented recruits since LeBron James, one of the largest prospects, since the GOAT, the chosen one.
Yeah.
He got some big shoes to fill, Lo.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you seen his brother? What do you think about his game?
When I think about his game is that he's big. Like, he's 7'4", right? Second tallest player to ever be drafted into the NBA. When I think about his game, it sometimes I'm like, wow, for his movement, his size, I should say, he moves pretty well in the paint. I think seeing muscle in him is going to be a thing. Like, that's going to be a whole nother thing in itself. I'm sure your analysts are going to be tracking this man's weight. But I think he's good. He can shoot the long range shot. He can, be able to put it on the floor to get to the basket, not too shifty. But I think that he can hold him his own. And just as a rookie, I think where he's going, San Antonio Spurs, you think about the legacy that franchise has, the people around him. You talk about big shoes, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, all these GOATs who are going to be a vital piece of his growth, I would say, as a professional athlete.
I have a little bit different take on him. I think he is shifty. I think he is athletic. I like to compare him to a guy like a Kevin Durant, which is, obviously one of the best scorers in the NBA. And to think that, this guy is Kevin Durant type talent, athleticism with more size, his ability to shoot from mid-range distance. Obviously, I think the physical is going to be a question. Like you said, first thing out of your mouth is the weight, the muscle. How will he transition into this game? And I've heard a couple different takes on it. I've heard his take. He's like, look, what muscle? You know, he's kind of got the Kevin Durant mindset. He's like, yo, I've been killing these guys.
Yeah.
I'm number one for a reason. Like, I'm not gonna come and put all this weight on. I'm not gonna come change my game. I think that year one, year two is gonna tell a lot. Will he need to put on these extra pounds? Or
Hmm.
will he be a guy like Kevin Durant who's remains super lean, and that discussion has ceased over time as he's assassinated guys,
Yeah.
year in and year out offensively. Um, but it's come with limits. It's come with limits. As great as Kevin Durant is, there's a lot we could talk about. Injury prone. There's a lot we could talk about late in the season. The productivity late in the season,
Yeah.
as opposed to guys like LeBron and I guess you want to even throw Steph Curry in there, who's put on, I want to say, nearly 30 pounds of muscle since he's been in the NBA.
Hmm.
Physical is important. So I want to see if this young brother is going to have to stand on those words and if he can in that current size. But I'm interested to see this cat because, as you said, we've never seen this type of talent in the NBA from this size player. But we
Yeah.
knew the game was coming to this. We laughed, we joked about it. The Giannis is, the 7 foot point guards. Well, now we got a 7'6" guy. We're gonna see
7'4", 7'4".
7'4". We're
Um,
gonna see how he fits in.
Yeah, and I think he will fit in. And like even like with the whole weight thing, I still think that it doesn't have to be a whole bunch, right? Like we're not telling him to go become a Zion. No,
Sure.
like but I do think just looking at the position that he plays, it will require some extra weight.
In
Like
fact,
Kevin Durant doesn't necessarily have to for the position that he plays, but for him to
right.
be 7'4", for him to be guarding a Jokic, excuse me, for him to be guarding a Giannis, that was just my first thought.
Yeah.
I'm also interested to see how he's going to do with Greg Popovich because I hear from other players who were drafted into the Spurs organization, they come in out of the draft and they have the expectations
Mm,
of being important roles, right? And so obviously he is Victor Wembanyama. He's going to have a role, correct? But I'm interested in see like what his leash is going to be early out because we know that Coach Pop, he likes to build players up. He likes to see them transform over time. He doesn't put too much onus on them on that first year, and so I'm just curious to see how he's going to do under that type of leadership. And then talk about the viewership of the draft. Like I think Victor had a huge part to do with how many people tuned in. Almost 5 million people tuned in for the first 15 minutes of the draft
yeah,
just to see him walk across the stage.
absolutely.
That's putting butts in the seat right there.
Well, because the game has changed. We even talk about it. International player. He's another one, number one overall player, international player. From a game that started right here, the game has become a global game.
Yeah.
So we talk about those 5 million viewers. This is no longer just nationwide. This is internationally, and these guys are bringing their own fans and their own fan bases. And it's exactly what the NBA wanted for the business. It's good for the business. It's good for the brand. And I think this kid is fortunate. They talk about the movies and all this is scripted, and I think this is the perfect script for him because he's going to an elite organization with a Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame um, teammates and support staff
Yeah.
and guys around the organization like the Tim Duncans, the David Robertsons, the Ginobili's, guys who are really going to be there. And I think this guy's going to flourish, because
Yeah.
these guys know how to develop players. This guy needs some development, but with that, he could. Sky's the limit. Sky's the
Yeah.
limit. We
If
see
you
why.
were
You seen what happened with him,
yeah.
how he flourished in time in that organization. Keep an eye on this brother because he could be. I mean, this could be game changing in a whole nother sense.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask if you were GM,
Mhm.
because I think, people come in and they're like, oh, projected, projected, projected.
Sure.
But like if you were a GM and there was a Victor Wembanyama-esque player, but he was out of like nobody knew of him. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how to I guess I don't know how to frame this. It's just like, are you taking him? Because Brandon Miller, you gotta talk about Brandon Miller next,
Sure.
right? Like
Sure.
that's
Let's
a
go on
player who
down.
we got to see all year long. Like that is a player that best player in the NCAA. There's no surprise kind of about his game or the type of person he is, right? Because
Sure.
when you come from overseas, you don't really get the same insight of coverage, I should say, for Victor. And I'm not taking anything away from Victor. I just want to set up this instance where it's like, you know exactly what you're going to get from Brandon Miller. And we have to
Yeah,
talk about some negatives, but are you taking a Victor over Brandon every time, or is that a something you ponder about?
I am. I am because I think that a Victor is a generational talent. A guy that may come along every 100 years.
Mm,
Um, with this type of size and athleticism, Brandon Miller. I mean, he's an exceptional. He's a once in a lifetime type of guy, which may come across every 30 years.
hmm.
Um, but Brandon Miller is as good as he is, his athleticism. We've seen guys with similar skill sets in Tracy McGrady's. Now, granted, we're talking Tracy McGrady's an elite company like the such.
Yeah.
But if Victor pans out, and that's what they base it on. They're running a business, so they got to run and base things off of potential because they're trying to project.
Yeah.
Victor has the greatest upside of any player outside of one named LeBron James.
Yep. That's fair. That's fair. All
Point
right,
blank.
let's move on to the number 2 pick, Brandon Miller out of Alabama. He was a star freshman for them.
Love him.
And, I think a lot of people, like I said, named him as the best player to play college basketball this past season. He did get into some trouble, which we actually saw in the NFL draft as well. I can't remember. I think it was a Georgia football player who was in some legal trouble surrounding a death, and similar to Brandon Miller. He did not face any charges. He cooperated with police in regards to a death linked to a young woman.
Mhm.
And man, it's like these off the court things sometimes just creep in, and it could really steal your opportunity. But it didn't for him. It worked out.
And in a rarest way, like you say, it's tough. And we're gonna say this. I'm gonna just put out this disclaimer for the young athletes. It's tough. It's a gauntlet of obstacles and challenges that you have to go through as a young athlete. But not only that, as a student, we've all been to college. Well, me and me and you talking, and we've seen, even for those athletes, for those students that go there, the challenges, being away from home and having to make these decisions, having to make them quickly. This being
Mhm.
real life, this young brother just so happened he was put into a position where he was going to get his teammates. And I don't know all the details, but some context, he was going to get his teammates. Teammates got into an altercation, asked to bring a weapon along. He was already en route. Weapon was already en route with him. So weapon was used in a shooting in which a young lady was killed. A life was lost. So
Yeah.
this wasn't a crime in which someone went unharmed. A young lady lost her life, but it didn't seem that this brother had intent, or they didn't think that his brother had enough intent or responsibility to be charged, which I'm thankful for because I want to see his future pan out, but that could have been a very sticky situation. And there were some other athletes that were charged
Yeah.
in this crime. So Brandon Miller, whew, he escaped one, Lo.
Yeah. Yay. God
Yeah,
bless. God
he's a
bless.
special
And
talent. He's a
yes,
special talent.
and
I'm
he is.
excited to see him.
I
There's
think
another. Go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm
I
sorry.
think I would just add, I'm interested to see, what his humility is going to look like as a
Mm,
leader. Because I think he
great.
knows he's good, and it's great to know it. I don't think him knowing that he's great means he's not going to play up to. No, I think he's going to do all the things, right? He's going to be getting his shots in, getting to know his teammates, trying to build that chemistry. I don't think he's naturally going to do anything wrong, but I wonder he if he lacks a little bit of humility.
No, I don't think so. This is my opinion.
Okay.
I seen the E60 deal the other day, and I'll keep this story quick. He was talking to him, talked to his mother, through the entire situation. This guy seemed like a genuine, kind-hearted, responsible kid. Um, Bad decision for sure.
Mm,
And I've been in life. I've been in situations where you get in these situations between trying to be a good friend and trying to be responsible and take care of yourself.
mm,
I think he got caught right in between. You know, he wasn't at the club with his guys. He wasn't at the bar. He was
yeah.
in the area sober, you know, being that responsible teammate, if you will, that was looking out for his other. He just so happened to get caught up in a situation. But to answer your question, from what I saw and what I heard in those interviews, I saw a mature young man that had
Yeah.
a good head on his shoulders, that didn't take this for granted, um, took some responsibility. And I think he's going to go and grow to be a great player, um, one that we'll talk about for years to come. And I don't think it'll be about this. So I'm
Okay.
glad that this isn't his story and this isn't the end of it for
Yeah.
Brandon Miller. He's got a really bright future, and we're going to get to see some of it.
Yeah. He did say that he thinks the Hornets are going to be in the NBA Finals in
Now
20.
he's getting ahead of himself.
He also said that Paul George is his GOAT.
Also, that's where I think that that's where I thought his mental was a little shaky. I thought it got shaky when he
That's
started
so
because
funny.
he said that with a straight face. I said,
He
I
was
don't
so
know about
serious.
I don't know about this brother. That's the only questions mark I have about his game right now.
And you know what's funny? In the betting world, they started saying that Scoot Henderson was going to go number two because Michael Jordan had heard what what Brandon had said, and all the MJ memes was out there running around after that went up. But
Well,
no, I wish
they
the
can throw
best.
those odds out because Mike sold the team. So
Well, yeah. I don't think it's inked though, but it's definitely in the works. And I
yeah,
actually hear that my guy J. Cole Jermaine is supposed to be on that deal, so that's cool. But yeah, no, I wish nothing but the best for Brandon Miller.
absolutely.
He has some players out there that with him. Think about Lamelo. Um, there's Bridges. Yeah, I think they have really young, like impressionable in a good sense to where they can be a sponge with the good coaching. I think that they can be competitive, specifically in the East, to work their way up to something like a Eastern Conference final, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I do like the confidence, and I just want to see what they're going to look like this year
They
because
got some young pieces. You know, they could be a team like you know the Chicago Bulls or the Miami Heat, not Chicago Bulls, Miami Heat, who put together some hard nosed pieces, some young talent that develops and really become a team that's hard to beat. You know, I think they have some potential. But the NBA, the landscape is changing. You know, the guards are changing. You know, as much as we don't want to talk about it, the guards are changing. And another guy who I want to talk about at number 3. Woo! This young brother said he
cool.
had one of the best NBA workouts scouts had ever seen. Didn't miss a shot off the dribble from 3.
Mm,
100% from mid range during
mm.
the workout. Incredible shape. Unbelievable athleticism, explosiveness off the dribble. This kid looks like a pro in every
Well,
sense of the word.
yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I think it's crazy that like we talk about players not going to college, only having to
Yeah.
be 1 year removed from high school. Like he's 1 year removed from 18, like right? Like I'm pretty sure he's like 19 years old. Five-star recruit coming out of high school, played 31 minutes in the G League, averaged about
Yeah.
17 points per game, and shot 43% from the field in 19 games played.
They said he's 6'2", 195. So we're talking about a well-built kid. Maybe I like him so much. He reminds me of like a little Dez. He was like a little Dez out there. Ah. Hey,
Yeah.
if y'all don't know, I'm like that. Come see me at your nearest lifetime. I will give you buckets. But this young brother is, you know, he's a special talent. You know, what I saw in that workout, I thought he was 6'5" the way he was moving and exploding to the rim off each leg. This is gonna be a guy to watch. He's already put his pitch in. He's told Dame, hey, we got enough, babies. We need you out here, Dame.
Yeah,
Last guy
I love
did
it.
that was in Cleveland. LeBron left
Yeah.
shortly after that.
No, but it's the productivity for me. Like we talk about
Yeah,
someone averaging 17 points, but he also had 5 rebounds and almost 7 assists per game.
yeah, Brother
Like,
fills it up. He
he can
fills it
do it
up.
all. And
He was a
like, and I don't
five-star
know,
recruit.
the assist number always gets me, specifically for scorers, like players who understand their strength as scorers and their responsibility, but the knowledge to be able to know where your other shooters, where your other scorers are is so important.
Absolutely. That feel, like you said, that feel, because he's a point guard, 6'2". He is
Yeah.
a point guard. He has to have that feel.
Yeah.
But a word that was used is hyper athletic, and exactly what he is. You don't see too many 6'2" guys explode to the rim like that, i.e. the Westbrooks and guys like that. Also, Westbrook is 6'4". This guy's going to be somebody to watch. I
For
really
sure.
like his game. I'm
He's gonna be
excited to
fun.
see what he brings to the NBA at his size. Will it translate? But one thing I know, and I do believe that will translate, is that dog in him. This kid's built for it, tough, and he's ready to ball. So
Yeah.
he took the G League route, low.
Yeah.
A different route we talked about. We talked about college. We talked about overseas. This guy decided to go directly to the G League, get in there, bang it up with some grown men, some professional ball players. We're going to see which route pans out the best type of players because I think that
Yeah.
story's still being written. We don't
It
know.
really is. It's all the entire top five, right? Victor Wembanyama overseas, Brandon
Yeah,
Miller, NCAA, Scoot Henderson, G League, and then we have two guys that came
yeah,
from Overtime Elite.
yep,
Like the opportunity to still get some NIL money over there, not in the NCAA, be able to play against some top talent
yep.
and come out in the top five with your twin brother.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
4 and
I
5,
almost,
the
I
same
almost,
last name,
I
twin
almost
bro.
cried.
First time ever.
First
Brothers,
time ever in the top 10,
top 10.
in the same class. That's cool.
That's an elite class. These young brothers, what's their name, Lo?
It's Amen and
Amon
Ausar Thompson.
Thompson, the Thompson brothers, as they go by. Two special talents. I mean, that's unprecedented. Like you said, we've never had twins in the top 10, let alone in the top 5, twins or brothers of any
Mm,
sort. These two cats can fill it up. 6'7", 200 pounds, also hyper athletic. I mean, I've seen these guys play in a couple of different leagues. I've seen some highlights. These brothers remind me a lot of the Morrison twins, maybe with a tick more athleticism.
yeah,
Um,
they fly through the air, man.
fly,
They
fly.
in transition, it's just like I could watch highlight reels of them in transition for days.
They need to raise the rim up the way these young brothers are slam dunking. These brothers are slam dunking now.
Yeah, no,
Good
I
Lord.
see them as little John Morant in their athleticism. I think as well as their court vision. I think John Morant can sometimes surprise us when he dumps it down, but the way that they're able to get into the paint and see out is wonderful. I think they had some decent shooters on that overtime elite team that they were
Sure.
on, and so their ability to make a difference in that way is going to be huge. So, Amen went to Houston Rockets, who they're still building up. They have a new head coach as well.
Correct.
I think it'll be interesting to see how he becomes a vital piece to their success. And then we also have Ausar. He went to Detroit Pistons at number 5, and he's going to a Pistons team that just got head coach from Phoenix Suns. Why is his name
Monty
escaping?
Williams.
Monty
Yep.
Williams, who knows how to coach. And yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. And Detroit Pistons, they're pretty young too.
Yeah.
So
Weird
they're gonna be
markets.
around some, you know, difference makers, I would
Yeah.
say.
I don't love those two teams and those two markets. For two exciting talents like these two young brothers, you know how the NBA favors certain markets and teams. These aren't two of the favorable ones. But I think that these guys, we'll see them on Sports Center every night. So the world, the nation, the country, they'll get very familiar with these two Thompson brothers because they're gonna be
Yeah.
punching on guys for the next decade.
Yeah, and you think about that when those teams go on the
Yeah.
road to other places, right? Like the Milwaukee's, the Grizzlies, Miami. Like I think they are going to bring out the fans. And I think it's another interesting aspect. I think when you are coming from the NCAA and go to the NBA, your fan base is so local. But
Hmm.
when you have the overseas players, when you have the G League players, when you have the overtime elite players, you're getting a bigger bandwidth of the people who have eyes on the league now.
Yeah,
And so I think they'll bring out some fans for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was exciting draft, Flo. I mean,
Yeah.
NBA fans have a lot to look forward to. As basketball fans, we have a lot to look forward to. This is going to be, I think, looking back, one of the most interesting draft classes, um, especially because of the number one overall pick. We'll never forget when LeBron James was drafted 20 years ago.
Yeah.
His numbers have been consistent for the last 20 years, and it would be pretty cool if we witnessed the next. Because as much as we love the GOAT, the chosen ones, and all of the debates and all of the hate that Mr. LeBron James gets, he's been giving us entertainment for the last 20 years, and we won't get another 20, not
Yeah.
with him. So,
LeBron also has a bounty on his head. They went around NBA draft asking all the rookies who
mhm.
they were most looking forward to dunking on.
mm,
About 97% of them said LeBron.
mm. They trying to make Brown tire. They trying to make him retire. No, don't do the GOAT like that. Y'all stay away from the GOAT and put some
Right.
respect on. Respect y'all elders. LeBron done taught a lot of us the game, but
Yeah.
we're coming to an end of an era, a really, really special one. So, for basketball fans, don't throw the debates out for now. Enjoy the game. We got some new young guns. We got one of the best players ever, in my opinion, the GOAT, the
Yeah.
longevity, Le GM, the man, LeBron.
Okay. Thank y'all for tuning into this episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe on this video, and we will catch you next week.